I never believed in fate until I noticed the same silver Honda Civic following my exact route to work every single morning for 3 weeks straight. The first time, I thought it was just coincidence. Seattle's a big city, but certain routes make sense during rush hour. I'd pull out of my apartment complex in Capitol Hill at exactly 7:15, stop at the same coffee stand on Pike, then merge onto a 5 heading toward the University District where I worked as a research assistant. The silver Civic would be there at the coffee stand, then 3 cars behind me on the highway, then, impossibly, turning into the parking garage 2 blocks from my building. The second week, I started paying attention. Same car, same time, same route. But here's the thing that made my stomach flip every morning. After the parking garage, he'd drive right back out and head south again. I watched him do it on Tuesday, then confirmed it Wednesday and Thursday. He wasn't going anywhere near my building. He was just following my route. By week 3, I was looking for him. I'd check my rearview mirror at every stoplight and there he'd be. I could never see his face clearly, just the outline of someone around my age, the silhouette of dark hair, the way his hands gripped the steering wheel at 10 and 2 like he was taking the drive very seriously. My roommate Jordan thought I was losing it. Maybe he just likes that coffee stand, they said, not looking up from their phone. You're building a whole romantic mystery out of someone's commute. But I knew. I knew because I'd started taking different routes to test my theory. On Monday of week 4, I left 10 minutes early and took Broadway instead of Pike. No silver Civic. Tuesday, I went back to my normal route. There he was, right on schedule. Wednesday, I deliberately skipped the coffee stand. I watched in my mirror as he pulled in anyway, waited for maybe 90 seconds, then drove faster to catch up with me before the highway entrance. He was definitely following me. The question was why, and the question underneath that question, the one that kept me awake at night, was why did I kind of love it? I'm not someone who attracts attention. I'm Adrian, 26, 5'9" on a good day, with brown hair that never quite does what I want, and a tendency to blend into backgrounds. I wear the same rotation of button-downs and khakis to work. I eat lunch alone in the lab break room. My last relationship ended 2 years ago when Marcus told me I was emotionally unavailable, which felt ironic since he was the one who forgot my birthday 3 years running. So the idea that someone would go this far out of their way, literally drive across the city every morning just to share my commute, it did something to me. It made me feel seen in a way I hadn't felt in years. Week 5, I decided to do something insane. I printed out a sign on regular printer paper, big block letters, "I see you too." I held it up against my rear window at a stoplight on Pike, angled so the car behind me could read it. In my rearview mirror, I watched him react. He leaned forward, and I could see the moment he read it, the way his posture changed. Then the light turned green, and I had to drive, my heart hammering so hard I thought I might have to pull over. He didn't follow me the next morning. The silver Civic wasn't at the coffee stand, wasn't on the highway, wasn't anywhere. I felt the absence like a physical thing, this hollow disappointment that settled in my chest. I'd scared him off. I'd taken something strange and beautiful and ruined it by acknowledging it existed. Friday morning, I almost didn't go to the coffee stand, but habit won out, and I pulled into the parking lot at 7:22, 3 minutes late because I'd talked myself into and out of calling in sick twice. The silver Civic was there, parked, waiting. My hands were shaking as I pulled into the spot next to him. Through his passenger window and my driver's window, we looked at each other for the first time with nothing between us but 2 panes of glass and several weeks of the strangest courtship I'd ever experienced. He was beautiful. Not in an obvious way, but in the way that makes your breath catch. Dark hair, darker eyes, a nervous smile that transformed his whole face. He looked as terrified as I felt. We sat there for probably 30 seconds, just staring, before he made a gesture toward the coffee stand, a question. I nodded, and we both got out of our cars. "I'm Cassian," he said, and his voice was softer than I'd expected, with a slight rasp that suggested he was as nervous as I was. "I know this is weird. I know I've been weird. I didn't know how else to—" "Adrian," I said. "And yeah, it's weird, but I kind of love weird." We ordered coffee and he insisted on paying for both, which felt like the least he could do given he'd been semi-stalking me for over a month. We sat at one of the small tables outside, even though it was that particularly miserable kind of Seattle morning where the mist isn't quite rain but still manages to soak through everything. I live in West Seattle, Cassian said, wrapping his hands around his cup. This drive, your route, it adds 40 minutes to my commute each way. I work downtown, so I should take the West Seattle Bridge, but instead I drive all the way up here just to what? I asked, even though part of me already knew. To see you, he said simply. I saw you at this coffee stand 2 months ago. You were wearing this blue shirt and you were laughing at something on your phone, and you just looked so, I don't know, alive, happy. And I thought, I want to know what makes someone look like that at 7 a.m. I was watching a video of a cat falling off a couch, I admitted. Not exactly profound. He laughed, and the sound did something to my insides. See? But that's it exactly. You find joy in small things. I watched you the next morning, and the next, and you always had this little smile, and I started thinking about you at other times, wondering what you did all day, whether you were happy, whether I was single, I supplied. He blushed, actually blushed. Yeah, that too. I should have been creeped out. By all reasonable standards, this was stalker behaviour, but sitting across from him, watching the way he couldn't quite meet my eyes, the way his fingers fidgeted with his coffee cup sleeve, all I felt was this overwhelming tenderness. I'm single, I said. Have been for 2 years, and for the record I started looking for your car too. I tested you, took different routes to see if you'd follow. You always did. I know, Cassian said. I figured you'd noticed. That's why I almost didn't come today. After you held up that sign, I thought maybe I'd crossed a line. Maybe you were telling me to back off. The sign said, I see you too, I pointed out. Not stop following me, creep. I know, but I thought maybe. I don't know what I thought. I've never done anything like this before. I'm not this person. I'm a tax attorney. I wear suits and argue about deductions. I don't drive 40 minutes out of my way to follow strangers. I'm a research assistant who catalogues plant specimens, I said. I label things and file them alphabetically. I don't let people follow me around the city for weeks without saying something, so I guess we're both being people we've never been before. We talked until we were both catastrophically late for work. I learned he was 28, that he'd moved to Seattle 3 years ago from Portland, that he had a sister in Spokane who called him every Sunday. He learned I grew up in Olympia, that I'd wanted to be a botanist since I was 8, that I'd never been outside the Pacific Northwest. I should let you go, Cassian said finally, checking his phone. You're probably incredibly late. So are you, I pointed out, and you still have to drive all the way back downtown. He smiled, and it was different from his earlier nervous smiles. This one was sure, decided. Worth it, he said. Every minute. We exchanged numbers in the parking lot standing between our cars. His hand brushed mine when he handed me back my phone, and the touch sent electricity up my arm. So, he said, can I still follow your route tomorrow morning? Or would you prefer I just text you like a normal person? I thought about it. About the silver Civic in my rearview mirror. About the way anticipation had coloured my mornings for weeks. Follow the route, I said. But maybe we could meet for coffee after. Actually talk instead of just driving in parallel. I'd really like that, Cassian said. We did meet for coffee the next morning, and the morning after that. By the end of week 2 we were carpooling, taking turns driving. Cassian's car one day, mine the next. By the end of the month, the carpooling had evolved into him staying over at my place most nights, because driving back to West Seattle only to turn around and come back at 6:30 the next morning seemed ridiculous. Jordan loved him immediately. He's the stalker, they said the first time Cassian came over for dinner. He's so normal, I expected someone way creepier. He's not a stalker, I said automatically, even though I'd called him exactly that in my head dozens of times. I absolutely was a stalker, Cassian said cheerfully, helping clear plates. I've made peace with it. Sometimes you have to be a little creepy to find something real. 3 months in, Cassian's lease in West Seattle came up for renewal. We were in my bed, that lazy Sunday morning space where anything feels possible, when he brought it up. I could look for a place up here, he said, tracing patterns on my shoulder. Capitol Hill, maybe. Shorten my commute significantly. Or, I said, my heart pounding, you could just stay here, officially. Pay half the rent, get your name on the lease. Stop pretending you don't already live here. He propped himself up on one elbow, looking down at me. Are you asking me to move in with you? I'm saying you already have. We're just making it official. He kissed me, slow and deep, and when he pulled back his eyes were bright. I drove across the entire city every morning for 2 months just to be near you for 20 minutes. You think I'm going to say no to actually living with you? That was 8 months ago. We still take the same route to work most mornings, even though there are faster ways for both of us now. We stop at the same coffee stand, usually in my car, because Cassian's developed a concerning grinding noise that he insists is character, but that I insist is an imminent breakdown. Sometimes I think about how easily we could have missed each other, if I'd left 5 minutes earlier or later, if he'd talked himself out of the drive on that first morning, if I'd been creeped out instead of charmed, if I'd held up a different sign. But I didn't, and he didn't, and here we are. Jordan says we have the weirdest meet-cute they've ever heard. Cassian's sister says it's romantic. My mum, when I finally told her, said it sounded concerning but sweet, which is about the best I could hope for. Me? I think it's proof that sometimes the best things in life come from paying attention, from noticing the silver Honda Civic that shouldn't be there, from being brave enough to hold up a sign, from understanding that love, real love, sometimes looks like someone driving 80 minutes out of their way just to share your morning. Every time I check my rearview mirror now and see Cassian in the passenger seat, singing off-key to whatever playlist I've chosen, I feel it. That same flip in my stomach from those first mornings. That same sense of being seen. "What are you smiling about?" he asks, catching me looking. "Nothing," I say. "Just happy." And I am. Profoundly, unexpectedly, completely happy. All because someone noticed me laughing at a cat video and decided I was worth a very inconvenient commute. Total char count, 11,847.